Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are just joining the Wholehearted series, don't worry, you can start here and you can go back to the previous videos when you have some time. We are unpacking this book, The Gifts of Imperfection. If you have been following along, welcome back. If this is your first time watching the video, in addition to being able to go back to the previous videos, you also can purchase the book because we are moving through it really slowly. So there's plenty of time for you to order it on Amazon, pick it up from your public library, your local Barnes and Noble, and jump right in with what we're reading and discussing. Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite things, and that is connection. I love this section so much because it really highlights what this entire channel or this series is about. I opened up explaining that I'm in a place where I am doing things that I'm passionate about, that I personally enjoy. This is not about views. This is not about subscriptions. I want to cultivate relationship online and offline. And so while this is cultivating online dialogue, it is also making room in discussions offline for me and my personal relationships, and I hope that it's doing the same for you, on top of the different projects that I'm working on offline to cultivate relationship there, right? We'll talk about that later on my YouTube channel once it fully manifests, right? But as a teacher, and as someone who grew up in a household with siblings, connection is a major thing to me. I recognize that when people feel included and a part of, they are allowed to perform at their highest ability. They bring their entire self, and the space that they are included in, if all the people are on the same accord about being inclusive, sharpens one another, right? So let's get right into it. This is on page 19. She opens with a quote and says, "I define connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship." That's how she defines connection. She says connection begets connection. So connection births connection. She says, as a matter of fact, we are wired for connection. She says, the latest finding in biology and neuroscience confirm that we are hardwired for connection, and that our relationships shape our biology as well as our experiences. How important is connection? It shapes our biology. That's what it says. So biological makeup, or probably well-being, and our experiences. Who we are connected to absolutely shapes our experiences. So I'm just reading through some of the things in this section, and then we're going to talk about it. She says our innate need for connection makes the consequences of disconnection that much more real and dangerous. So while connection has such great benefits for us, right? Being seen, valued, heard, being in a space where we're not being judged, our biological makeup benefits from who we're connected to, our experiences are impacted and benefit from who we're connected to. In the actual reverse, when we disconnect from people that we have felt or we feel connected with, it also has consequences that are real and dangerous. Excuse me. She says, she begins to go into her first example, which is technology. And I love how she says it. She says, in our technology crazed world, we've confused being communicative with feeling connected. Just because we're plugged in, it doesn't mean we feel seen and heard. In fact, hyper communication can mean we spend more time on Facebook than we do face-to-face with people we care about. So we're just going to unpack this. This is a very easy topic to, waddle through, which I think is awesome because we've had a lot of heavy kind of like hitting ones prior to this, if you ask me. And the first question I would ask is, are you connected? Are you someone who spends more time on your cell phone than you do in person with people? Do you have interaction time? Are you getting hugs from people? Are you having those one-on-one experiences? or getting your friends together, having breakfast, lunch, or dinner, putting the phones away, not spending most of your time taking a picture of your meal, taking a picture of your time together, that really does not convey you all having an experience. One of my favorite things, while I do enjoy vlogging, and if you've been on this channel since I started, I'm talking too fast, y'all. If you've been on this channel since I started, I used to vlog when I would go back home to DC. And the hard part about vlogging for me and the people that I spend my time with is that on one end, they love when I'm like recording those moments for memory's sake, but on another end, they're really like, okay, put the phone away. You know, like my friends can be on their phone. We make room, time, and space for us to have our phones out. But if I have my phone out the entire time, or if I'm recording every little thing, they're not really they're gonna be like, okay, like don't post that, or, you know, no, put it away. And so it actually caused me to only like record snippets, which also was uncomfortable for me, because when we're in the middle of having girl talk, or we're flirting, or we're going out, we're getting cute, we getting sexy, we about to have a night on the town, I don't want to be like, hey guys, we're heading to, you know, because it's like, this is our moment. Like, me and my girls are having a good time. Me and, you know, my group of friends are hanging out, and we're unpacking how life has been and the challenges and the highlights. Why do you need to know this? Why do you need to see us in our ghetto fabulous pajamas, you know? And then you have those experiences where you feel like you're connected because you tap in with someone on social media. But we have to remember that on social media, people get to decide everything from what they post to what the caption is, right? So I could post a picture and I could be at home right now and be like, you know, oh, sweet day. And then I'm posting it with a good quote, and I'm really like, after I post that, like, I really wish I had someone to hang out with today. Or, you know, oh boy, is getting on my nerves. You know, it's like, you're really not tapped in. Even though you're receiving the updates of my life based on what I post, you're not getting the authentic, you're not experiencing authenticity with me and transparency about where I am, what's going on, how I'm feeling. And so getting back to what I was originally saying is that one of the things I enjoy is that I have friends, and I pray that you have friends, or that you're this friend that will call out like, yo, put the phone away. We've been on the phones a lot. Or we would have such a good time that we don't have pictures. Or we're having such a great time that the pictures we've gathered and captured, it takes us a while to post, because we were really just capturing them for our memorabilia, for our sake, right? And so I love that she talks about how technology gives us this false idea of us really being plugged in. And so my first question is, are you plugged in? Are you plugged in with people you care about and people that you believe you're doing relationship and life with? If you hang on to their every social media post as a means for being connected, I would challenge you this week to arrange a time to see them. You know, I don't live at home back in DC with my family and friends, so one of the ways I connect with them is by FaceTime, is by phone calls. I'm not a big texter. I really don't like texting. And if I'm texting you, it's probably because you're my man. You're my man. Or it's a quick text. I will text, but I'm not a good texter. Like, I'm not someone who we'll go toe to toe if I have like a good 5 to 10 minutes. But honestly, if we text more than, let's say, 6 exchanges, and it's a conversation that needs to be had over the phone, I might dwindle away a little bit. I need it to be quick and brief, because I want to see your face. I want to know that when you tell me you're doing okay, you're really doing okay. I want to hear your laugh. I want to see what, you know, triggers you. I want to hear like how you feeling, and really hear it. Like, when you say you're doing good, I want to know that you're doing good, and you're not just saying I'm good out of formality, right? So yeah, first question is, are you plugged in? Are you plugged in? And I'm going to write this down because I actually wrote, are you connected? But I think plugged in is better. Are you plugged in with your people? Nothing on social media, if you really want to assess if you're plugged in, should be news to you. That's a great assessment tool of if you're plugged in with people. When my friends post, if it's the first time I'm learning about it and they made it to social media, I feel some type of way, because these people they don't deserve to know about your wins and your loss or anything major before your inner circle. Now, is it my job to mandate that with my friends? No, but that's a personal checkpoint for me. Like if the world is learning about a major life event before I am, something's off. Or maybe that person doesn't feel connected with the circle that they are a part of. And I need to make sure they know there are people who want to know about things in intimate spaces so we can celebrate them and they can feel affirmed in a connected space and not virtual, if that makes sense. So then she goes on to say, one of the greatest barriers to connection is the cultural importance we place on going it alone, like doing it alone. I think that was a typo for her, I'm not sure. So the cultural importance we place on doing it alone. Somehow we've come to equate success with not needing anyone. Get into this. She says, many of us are willing to extend a helping hand, but are very reluctant to reach out for help when we need it ourselves. It's as if we divided the world into those who offer help and those who need help. The truth is that we are both. And so then she goes on to saying, until we can receive with an open heart, we are never really giving with an open heart. So this is so good to me because, let me just finish it. She says, until we can receive with an open heart, we are never really giving with an open heart. When we attach judgment to receiving help, we knowingly or unknowingly attach judgment to giving help. Yeah. Raise your hand if you're a helper. What I love about this quote is that she's saying, if you see receiving help negatively, whether you know it or not, when someone is receiving help from you, there's a judgment around it. Even if it's an assessment of who's stronger between you and that friend, who is more of a resource between you and that friend, who has the upper hand, you're judging this person for being in this position of needing help. And so you're not giving with an open heart, which also means you cannot receive with an open heart. I hope this is making sense for someone. I love that. Many of us are willing to extend a helping hand, but are very reluctant to reach out for help when we need it ourselves. Until we can receive with an open heart, we are never really giving with an open heart. When we attach judgment to receiving help, we knowingly or unknowingly attach judgment to giving help. So I wrote down for this little section, this week, I want you to ask, if receiving help is hard for you, I want you to ask 3 people for something. Because if you're the helper, especially if you're the helper, but if you are struggling with asking for help, if you're that person that struggles with asking for help, I want you to pause this video if you can, or even at the end of the video, and I want you to think of 3 things that you need. It doesn't have to be tangible, right? It could be like, hey, it really means a lot to me when you check in. I really appreciate when you check in. Or, hey, sometimes I have really rough days at work and it makes me smile to hear from you. Or I need accountability. Or I do need money. Or I can use company. So if you are someone, this is a challenge for myself too. If you are someone who is struggling with receiving help, I want you to, I think I'm going to try to challenge myself to write down 3 things when I'm done recording that I can use help in. Really think about it. Where can I use assistance? 3 people. Try to create these behaviors this week. 3 people that you're going to ask for help. And then while asking for help, I want you to assess the emotions you have around it. So like, I know for myself, it's hard to ask for help because I think about things like, you don't have any kids, you're not married. What is there that you can't acquire? Like, what is it that would prevent you from getting things? But that's ridiculous, because I told you all in the previous video, something as small as needing someone to bring in a piece of furniture was uncomfortable and hard for me, because I'm like, why would I inconvenience someone who has a wife or someone who has kids to take their time to bring their truck to, but why would you go out your way to spend all this money? Like, that doesn't make sense, right? So if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch that. And so not asking for help and seeing asking for help as an inconvenience hinders me from getting to the things I need, and it hinders me from connection. Even if it was just a short connection, it's like, hey, you're in my community. This is an opportunity for us to connect, for me to see that you'll come through for me to let you know that I will come through for you should you ever need it. I miss that opportunity when I don't ask for help and I go to the U-Haul, when I outsource. Okay? So ask 3 people this week for something you need from them. Whew, I already hear one in my spirit. Y'all. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to have to make a video at some point of just things that I've been learning, because I want to check in. It's supposed to be conversational, right? And so let's go to the next part. This is where I almost threw the book. Okay? She says, for years, I placed value on being the helper in my family. I could help with a crisis or lend money or dispense advice. I was always happy to help others, but I would never call my siblings to ask them for help, especially for support during a shame storm. At the time, I would have denied attaching judgment to my generous giving. But now I understand how I derived self-worth from never needing help and always offering it. That's how I feel about this book. I just want to burn it. This is a mindset that I see so often. And I have to even change my language around it, because I even say strong friend, which means I am calling someone else a weak friend. I'm deriving self-worth for being the strong friend. I know people who do this. I know people who feel like this is their role in their circle. And really, if we're going to keep it funky, you become the weak friend, because you miss out on connection, help, community, things that can expedite your process, things that can move you forward, things that can connect you to other people that you couldn't. Yeah. She said, I would deny attaching judgment to my generous giving. But now I understand how I derived self-worth from never needing help and always offering it. So she reached out to her siblings. And she says, I gained permission to fall apart. This is like, it's moving me just a little bit, because this is what will keep you bound, right? And y'all know, if you follow this channel, I'm about to be tying in some spiritual things, because it's like you can't get away from it. But I'm moved by this, not only because I'm like, this is a good reminder for me, but because I know people who I want them to get this. I need them to get this. I need them to get a hold of this. She said she reached out to her younger siblings, and she said, I gained permission to fall apart and be imperfect. And they could share their strength and incredible wisdom with me. If connection is the energy that surges between people, we have to remember that those surges must travel in both directions. A lot of deep breaths when I'm reading this by myself, when I'm reading this on camera, because I really want you to know that this is counterculture. But this is necessary. This is necessary. And sometimes it sucks, because it's like you're going to be the one to practice it, and people don't know to practice this with you. But this is where we have to educate our community. This is where we share the video. This is where we share the video and then talk about it. This is where we get the book and we read it and we talk about it. This is where we have to revisit behaviors. Like, you know what? In our last conversation, I realized you came to me needing something, and I was there for you. And I considered you weak unknowingly, and I let you leave the space without me sharing, what I'm going through, which means I have robbed you of an opportunity to be there for me. So outside of asking someone, outside of asking yourself if you're plugged in, and whatever question I asked y'all a minute ago, I want you to call someone this week who you consider weak. Someone who comes to you, but you never go to them. And I get it. There is a maturity imbalance in some relationships. Like, let's be clear. It's not about strength and weak. Sometimes you are a mentor, or sometimes you are the person that someone is pulling from because of the different experiences and the different wisdoms and the different walks of life, right? So I'm not telling you to call your baby nephew or your baby niece like, hey, goo goo gaga, listen, let me tell you what's going on in my life. Like, clearly that child is not in a position to connect with you, to encourage you, to extend, right? But there are people. You do have people, and you are connected to people. And I want you to assess your judgment of their role in your life and really ask yourself, have I even given them an opportunity to be there for me? Is it possible that they're sitting on answers and strength and solutions that I need, and I'm not tapping in because I've made a judgment, an assessment of this relationship and what they're capable of doing and being for me? And if you're the person that isn't the strong friend, let me just get into you real quick. If you're the person that is always reaching out for help, great job. But are you checking in to see if that person needs help? Because it says, if connection is the energy that surges between people, we have to remember that those surges must travel in both directions. So, and it just ties into everything else we've talked about. Compassion and being in relationship and having these open conversations and making sure that both parties are on the same page and have an understanding, right? So yeah, we are definitely past our time today, but definitely well worth it. And I guess my last question is, do you derive your self-worth from never needing help and always offering it? And if you do, honey bun, let's take that off the resume. Let's take that off the resume, okay? And let's put on the resume that we derive our self-worth for being a participant of connection. And a participant and an encourager. I'm gonna encourage you to connect, and I'm going to participate and connect. Because we need it. If it affects my biology, my biological makeup, my experiences, I need it. I need you. I need you to know where I am. And I'm done after this. Even if you can't help me, compassion practice means that I just want you to be in my space. I want you to understand what's going on with me, because that is a help. That's helpful. Yeah. All right. See you on the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. It's 24 minutes long. I get it. I see it. I see the time. But it's 24 minutes of very helpful information, and it could also be a great starter to discussion with your friends, with your spouse, with your family about, hey, I need you. I don't want to be the strong one. I don't want you to be the strong one. You're not weak. I'm not weak, but I do want to be connected. Have a good day.